Just showing up. Honestly, yeah, just I'm gonna knock him out. You know, he has a lot of flaws in his defense, and I'm gonna expose him. You know.
How was training for something like this? Obviously, smaller guy. How was this in the training aspect, Jake?
Yeah, there's a lot of punching down, practicing, hitting below my knees, and a lot of speed.
He warming up.
We're
now.
sparring.
That's what we need.
We're sparring.
Warm up.
Some 8-year-olds. I got the 8-year-olds in there.
If I find out anything, I'm gonna beat your ass and I'm gonna beat Jaden Love ass. On my mama, I'm gonna beat both of y'all ass. On my mama. And he laughing. He laughing.
Jake Paul and Gervonta, Tank Davis just delivered a war of words that could rival some of the biggest boxing matches of the year. What started as a few jabs online quickly turned into a full-blown verbal showdown, sharp, personal, and impossible to ignore. Fans flooded social media within minutes, calling it one of the most entertaining face-offs outside the ring. If the tension keeps building like this, their next exchange might not be through words, but through punches.
Honestly, I have beef. I'm not a traditional boxer. If someone has beef with me and they've shit about me and they've said things online and criticized my career, let's run it, bro. I'm old school. Like, I'm not a traditional boxer. I just want to fight people and them up. So at the end of the day, if he's going to talk shit about my career, I don't care about weight, spectacle, WWE, whatever anyone wants to say, bro, we're fighting.
This wasn't just another trash-talking session, it was ego versus legacy, and every second of it played out like a pay-per-view event. Jake Paul came in swinging hard, his words cutting deeper than any right hook. He accused Gervonta, Tank Davis of being predictable in the ring and didn't hold back from throwing shade at Tank's legal troubles. It wasn't just banter, it was calculated pressure, the kind of mental warfare designed to shake an opponent long before the first bell rings. Jake clearly isn't just aiming for a knockout in the ring, he's trying to score a psychological victory before the gloves even touch.
Anybody that ever rocked a mohawk is a fucking clown. We all know this. Anybody rocked a mohawk. Name
You
them.
want to see clowns? You want to see clowns? Gervonta, you're the fucking clown, buddy. You're the fucking clown, Gervonta. Any man who puts his hands on a woman is the clown. I got you a poodle.
Now, okay.
But here's the thing, Tank didn't blink. He just stood there with that cold, knowing smirk, the kind that says, I've faced tougher guys in Baltimore parking lots. It was quiet confidence, the kind that doesn't need to shout to be felt. Meanwhile, Jake's energy was all over the place. One moment he's the entertainer, playing it up for the cameras, and the next he's laser-focused, sounding like a man on a mission. He claimed he's been dissecting Tank's every move, ready to expose weaknesses no one's seen before. It's a fascinating mix, promoter and predator in one body, and it's what keeps this feud feeling less like a press event and more like the opening round of something personal.
Headspace that I'm in now is way better than what I was before, and that's the only thing that mattered to me.
He's going to underestimate me. Bro, you took a knee in the last fight. Like, you should have got 2 points taken off,
He's
bro.
not even listening.
You're always in your head. Like, at the end of the day, he thinks that the speed is going to make a difference. It's not. He has a lot of holes in his defense. No one has ever pressed him.
You
like
shouldn't put a fighter on.
And you're going to see me knock this guy
That's
out.
how I know you're not a real fighter.
Here's what most people are missing. Tank's calm isn't a sign of fear, it's a sign of growth. That fiery, impulsive kid from years ago? He's gone. What we're seeing now is a calculated, mature fighter who knows when to strike and when to stay silent. Tank's spending his time studying film, not firing off tweets. He's letting Jake talk himself into a frenzy, building up pressure he won't know how to release when it's time to trade blows. This isn't emotion, it's precision. Tank's approaching the fight like a scientist conducting an experiment, gather data, analyze patterns, and detonate at the perfect moment. Jake might bring YouTube fame and a size advantage into the ring, but Tank's timing is surgical, and when it lands, there's no second chance to react.
He crossed the line too close. He was like in his chest. He was in his chest, and that's why Tank was like backing off. And I seen that, I said, okay, it glimpsed the Tank still in there. You get what I'm saying? So when I seen him, cross that threat, I said, hey, back up off of me. Because last fight he was too friendly with Roach.
The fight will be contested over 10 3-minute rounds, and when Tank and Jake enter the squared circle to go to battle, they will be wearing 12-ounce gloves.
This isn't shaping up to be influencer versus boxer, it's discipline versus delusion. Jake Paul might think he's rewriting boxing's rulebook, but stepping in against Tank with smaller gloves isn't baptism, it's a potential wake-up call. If he's planning to make a statement, he might want to say a quick prayer before the bell rings. And just when the digital dust settled from that online firefight, two legends entered the chat, Andre Ward and Roy Jones Jr. They came in like the seasoned uncles at a family cookout, the ones who've seen every type of fighter, every mistake, every rise and fall. Their tone wasn't hype, it was wisdom, the kind of grounded, no-nonsense reality check that reminds both fighters there's a difference between internet fame and true ring legacy.
Jake Paul is good enough where people say, oh, he's terrible. Jake Paul is not a world-class fighter. I don't care how a person feel about that. Fighters that started in their formative years, like we did, 8, 9, 10, we got too much time in. Jake will never catch up to that. He'll never catch up to that. We just got too much time.
Ward said out loud what plenty of fans have been whispering for months. Jake Paul's got skill, sure, enough to make the fight worth watching, but he's not cut from the same fabric as Gervonta, Tank Davis. Ward didn't sugarcoat it. He flat out said Jake's never closing that gap, and he's got a point. You can't buy grit. You can't swipe a credit card for the kind of pain that forges real fighters. Tank grew up in gyms where every round was a survival test, where getting hit was part of the education. Jake's putting in work, no doubt, but there's a difference between training for a spectacle and being molded by struggle since childhood.
Always tip the hat to him because he is in the gym with a real boxing team. I know the BJ Flores, J. Leon Love, and a few others he got in there, and he's got real fighters in there. He's getting the black eyes, he's getting the marks, he's trying to become better, and he's respectable enough where if you foolish, you can get knocked out. You can get hurt with that right.
That right hand of Jake's? It's no joke, it can do damage, and everyone knows it. Even Andre Ward gave him his due, and that means something. Ward acknowledged that Jake's not just playing fighter, he's earning it. He's in the gym taking hits, collecting bruises, and putting in the kind of work most people only talk about online. No edits, no filters, just effort. And yes, that right hand is dangerous enough that if Tank slips for even a second, Baltimore might owe YouTube an apology. But then Ward dropped the truth bomb. He reminded everyone that Tank's been facing bigger, stronger guys his entire career. Weight advantage? Irrelevant. Tank's been trading punches with light heavyweights since he was a teenager. You can't intimidate a man who's already fought monsters just to sharpen his craft, and that's what makes this matchup so fascinating.
Gervonta has been fighting bigger guys and sparring bigger guys his whole life. That's what people don't understand. They keep talking about weight classes are there for a reason. That's true. But some guys, and I said this about Crawford, some guys been beating up on big dudes for a long time. They've been sparring light heavies and heavies for a long time. This ain't nothing new. Now it's different, right? In a real situation like.
Still, Ward didn't let Tank off easy. He threw a subtle jab of his own, said he hasn't heard Tank talk about legacy in a long time. And honestly, that hit harder than any punch. Because he's right, lately, Tank's been chasing drama, not destiny. The focus has shifted from cementing a legacy to proving a point. But maybe, just maybe, this Jake Paul fight is what he needs to reset the narrative. Not for belts or rankings, but for something deeper, pride, respect, and silence over spectacle. Because if Jake manages to make this fight even remotely competitive, the internet's going to explode, faster than Roy Jones Jr.'s reflexes the first time TikTok filters started flying around. It won't just be a trending topic, it'll be a cultural earthquake shaking both boxing and social media at once.
The influence of Floyd Mayweather, Money Man, not Pretty Boy, but the Money Man, and building your brand and selling tickets and selling pay-per-views and becoming a household name, that's also a legacy. You got the legacy in the ring and you got the legacy in terms of how you sold. I believe Gervonta Davis is more focused on selling tickets and making money and securing his future for himself and his family. He said it out of his own mouth. I ain't got nothing.
This isn't just a fight anymore, it's boxing's reputation hanging in the balance. And honestly, I'm watching this thing like my Wi-Fi bill depends on it. Here's my take, this matchup is equal parts math and mayhem. If Jake Paul can use his reach, control the distance with a steady jab, and turn that size advantage into constant pressure, cutting angles, punishing Tank every time he lunges in, he can drag this into deep waters where discipline and strategy start to pay off. But if you're betting on fundamentals, the smart money still rides with Tank Davis. His sense of timing, his ability to read movement, and that ruthless, single-shot precision, those are the tools that erase weight advantages and flip momentum in a heartbeat. One mistake from Jake, one opening, and Tank can end the night before Jake even realizes what went wrong.
Tank and Jake type fight. Nah, that's theirs. Let them have that.
What do you think about that? You think Gervonta has a better chance of knocking Jake out than Jake has a chance of knocking Gervonta out?
Well, I'll tell you this, man. From the height difference, Gervonta gonna have to hit him on the low blows and the belly button, bro, because that's all he gonna reach. But I get it, man. You got kids, you got a wife, or a baby mom, whatever it is. But, you know, you gotta make your money, yo. You gonna make your money, you gonna call it quits. And, you know, I don't blame you on that part, you know. And Jake Paul, you know, do what you gotta do. Don't get knocked out and keep.
What I love about this matchup is that it's not a predictable, one-sided snooze fest, it's a true coin flip wrapped in chaos. Either man could win, and that uncertainty is what's making this fight feel electric. So, my advice? Bring popcorn, not faith. Expect a slow, strategic start, a wild mid-round brawl, and an ending that could tilt in either direction. I give a narrow edge to Tank Davis. His pure ring IQ and timing are elite, but Jake's power and size make him the ultimate disruptor. That's why no one can look away. It's the perfect blend of danger, drama, and unpredictability. And as Andre Ward and Roy Jones Jr. reminded everyone, respect the craft, respect the legacy. But the tone shifts fast as we step into the Paulie Malignaggi, Chris Algieri zone. Suddenly, the conversation goes from technical breakdowns to tabloid tension. Ward might call it manufactured theater, and Paulie? He doesn't even bother to hide it. To him, this isn't a rivalry, it's a payday wearing a storyline, a spectacle dressed up as sport.
Gervonta, I don't know, what if Jake hits him? You know, Jake's a big guy. I don't know if Gervonta stood next to Jake. Jake's a big guy.
Yeah, he's a big dude, yeah.
And Gervonta is small even by lightweight standards.
Right.
So it is a little bit of a David and Goliath fight. It's just, you know, the David character in Gervonta is much more skilled. But I guess there's that's the thought process. As far as what it does for boxing, well, absolutely.
It's the same script we've seen before, hype reels, weight debates, exhibition energy, and at some point, you've got to ask, who really wins here? For Jake Paul, the answer's obvious. He's the promoter, the attraction, the algorithm in gloves turning attention into money. For Tank Davis, it's trickier. He's balancing on a tightrope between legacy and ledger, between what cements his name in history and what secures the bag before the curtain closes. We can all enjoy the entertainment, sure, but let's be real, when a fight tilts too far towards spectacle over sport, boxing itself takes the hit. And I'll be blunt, Chris Algieri calling this a cash-out route might be the hottest take of the week, but I'm not mad at it. If Tank's looking for one last big payday before hanging up the gloves, that's his right, the math checks out. But the optics? Brutal. Because to the casual fan, it looks like a world champion stepping into exhibition mode against a celebrity heavyweight, and that image feels less like a title defense and more like the end credits of what used to be competitive boxing.
I've played both sides of it, Paulie, about who has more to lose in this fight. If you had to make a pick, who to you has more to lose? The big Jake Paul, who's not particularly skilled, or the smaller and very skilled Gervonta Davis, who's facing a bigger guy?
I think Davis is more to lose because he's the bona fide world champion. I don't care if he's much smaller. I think Jake Paul has sort of plateaued as far as where his boxing is concerned. It's rather low level. Yeah. He's big, he's physical, he's strong, he can hit. So there is that risk.